This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Hello and welcome to another fabulous episode of A Different Kind of Woman. A different kind of woman is a woman who takes good care of herself so she may be able to take care of others. Now, 6 out of 10 of us are not getting enough sleep. Are smartphones and tablets to blame? On today's show, The Science of Sleep, we'll be discussing this and much more. Let's take a look at what's coming up next on the show. Next, we're going to find out what people on the streets of London think.
What happens if you don't sleep well?
I get so cranky, yeah.
See our team visit the Freud Museum.
This is the famous couch, Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic couch.
Helen Broadhead, an infant sleep consultant, will be joining us in the studio.
We don't say you leave your child to cry.
And later, we'll get to see style tips from Jessica Ann.
With a touch of makeup and the right outfits, let's take a look.
So joining me today to discuss the science of sleep is the marvelous Maria.
Hi.
Welcome. And the delightful Diane.
Hi.
Our very own Lady Di. So today we're talking about sleep, ladies, and let's get right to it. How much sleep do you guys get?
I make sure I try and get enough sleep, but there are times that I do lack sleep.
So when you say enough, what's enough for you?
Okay, I might do a cat nap if I can, like in the evening, like early evening before, I carry on with my evening kind of thing. So I think that, like, I get up sometimes between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Then I go for my day, and then I might come in and if I can, I'll have an hour's nap. So that kind of gives you that boost, doesn't it?
Right.
And then I go on with my evening, and my evening might finish. I might get back in 11-ish, 10, 11-ish. Then I might go to bed 12-ish.
Yeah.
So
She's too scared to tell us how late she sleeps.
No, because it can depend. You get what I mean? Sometimes it might be I go to bed at 11. Sometimes I go to bed at 12 or after 12. But that's my kind of normal routine that I'm giving you.
How about you, Maria? Do you get enough sleep?
Okay, I don't think I do, but for me, I get on average about, I'm going to be more honest than you.
She was honest, she was being honest.
6 hours sleep. Because it doesn't matter, like you, I'm an early riser. It doesn't matter what time I go to sleep. I could go to sleep 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll still wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, for me, I don't believe that I get enough sleep. But when I do sleep, the 6 hours, I'm out.
Yeah.
I have that really, really deep sleep.
You switch off.
I switch off completely.
All right, you're going to find out about my sleep patterns throughout the show. But Britain has been known to be a nation that does not sleep. Well, let's find out what the people on the streets of London think with Anna Maria.
How important is sleep to you?
I like to get 8 hours a day. I just think it makes you more productive in the day if you've had a good night's sleep.
So if you don't get your 8 hours and you get less, how do you feel?
I suppose more tired, less able to concentrate during the day.
Sleep is very important. It's basically to make your day start good if you have a good sleep. If you have like 3 hours sleep, it's going to be a terrible start to the day and you'll be very tired and need to drink this stuff like me. I have no sleep. So yeah.
I'll say sleep is important because it determines how your day will be. Like if you don't sleep properly, you're not gonna have a good day basically. And if you do sleep properly, you're gonna be more active and more awake. And so sleep is important.
Extremely important. Yeah, I love it. So.
Why is it so important to you? What happens if you don't sleep well?
I get so cranky.
It's really important to me. I need like at least 8 hours a night.
Sleep is very important. It's kind of a way to start fresh. If you don't have sleep, it's like you're continuing your previous day and you're not going to have enough energy. You need to kind of fill yourself up and prepare for the next day.
Why do you think people in London struggle to sleep?
Maybe if they have lots on their mind, or if they, I suppose, have things that are troubling them they can't kind of switch off from. Maybe it might struggle to sleep, I suppose.
I don't know, I'll say honesty is that probably either two things. Obviously, one thing is that you're thinking a lot in your mind, which obviously everyone does, thinking in the man sleeping, everything's off and you're trying to sleep. Another thing could be is that you just can't sleep at a long day and you just can't get to sleep, your mind's finishing and that.
I think when you have a lot on your mind, you can't sleep well because like you need to be kind of at peace to sleep, and you need a comfortable bed. So if someone's not comfortable with their bed, they might not notice, but I do. So that, and social media, everyone's on their phone, trying to keep up with the world, and everybody does that at night time. So everybody's awake, and so yeah, everyone's awake at night.
Generally stress, probably money worries, that kind of thing. Just general day-to-day life.
I'll say it depends because like now, like it's a technology era, like everyone's on their phone, on Twitter or Snapchat before they go to bed, or if not, parties go like late night. So yeah, and people start to rise at night as well. So it tends to like damage the sleeping pattern.
Well, that was unanimous. They all agree that sleep is important, but for some reason, none of them are getting enough sleep. And I think that seems to be the majority of us in Britain, right? We know that we should be sleeping, but we never get down to getting enough sleep. Now, we have signs for you that you are not getting enough sleep. So maybe you may be wondering, how do I figure it out? We have some signs, and one of them is your mood. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed have you been abnormally moody lately, you ladies? We're gonna test you. You're gonna represent Britain for us here in the studio. So out of these signs, we want to know how you're faring. Have you noticed any mood changes lately?
Yes, I did. I think it was last week or the week before, I noticed I was really moody with my husband, and I actually said to him, I think I'm really tired because I know I can feel myself being moody. And he said, yeah, you're tired. He actually told me, you're tired. So yeah, I actually notice a difference straight away. You know, I get kind of a little bit frustrated and, you know, agitated and.
Yeah, I think I've shared my history here on the show with chronic fatigue, right? I was diagnosed, I think it was 2 years ago now, with chronic fatigue, and for about a year I battled with it, and there were signs leading into, before the diagnosis, there were signs leading to it. And I have to tell you, most of these signs we're going to be discussing today, I felt at the time. Okay. And one of them was your mood swing. So it's like, kind of like you're irritable, but for no reason. You don't know why you're not irritable. And that's one of the signs that you're not getting enough sleep. So we have another question, another sign. Do you find it hard to do tasks that you normally find easy? So things that normally were easy for you, all of a sudden now is like you're battling to go through them.
For me, I have to be really overtired and notice that I'm battling with those. I mean, to the extreme tired. Mm-hmm. You know, that's when I know that I've pushed my limits, basically.
Yeah.
In general, I'm okay. I mean, I'm just so used to it because I mean, the 6 hours is, for me, it's a lot for me because I used to suffer from insomnia, and I would not sleep the whole night. So, but right now, I mean, even in the 6 hours that I sleep deep, I know there's something that I'm okay in the morning, but then in the afternoon, don't put me in a meeting. Yeah, I would fall asleep. I can't take meetings like sitting there. I find myself falling asleep. But there does come a time, like in the afternoon, especially late afternoon, where I don't know if you know that 10 minutes that you really, even if it's just 10 minutes, you just close your eyes and fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's like you've been sleeping for hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. I think for me, it's like late afternoon. That's when I start to really feel the tiredness.
Right. It might be your body switching down.
Exactly.
Because of the amount of hours you sleep at night. So when it gets late into the day, it kind of shuts down. Yeah. So going back to my symptoms at the time, this was, like just for you to kind of have an idea. I would normally write reports all the time quickly. I love writing. It's something that I do very well and that I enjoy. So I would knock over a report minutes, an hour. We're talking about a 5-page, let's say. And it wouldn't take me long. And then all of a sudden I started seeing that, it takes me like 2-3 days to knock out a report, because I only do a paragraph and then I have to stop. I can't focus anymore, and then I have to get back to it. So when things like that happen, things that you normally used to do well, and you start finding it difficult for you to do, it is a sign that you're not getting enough sleep, and cause for you to listen to the signs of your body. Now, another one, have you put on weight for no reason? Have you put on weight lately for no reason? Because that's a sign as well that you're not getting enough sleep.
I would say I have.
Not lately.
Looking at you guys, no.
I was like, why didn't we do this show when I was like, still battling with my weight? I'm still, trying to knock down, but now I'm going down instead of going up. Yeah, I wish I had this excuse, but it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It may sound funny, but yeah, when you do not get enough sleep, you do put on weight. It slows down your metabolism,
really?
Isn't it? So you not getting enough sleep, your body's metabolism gets slowed down, and so you don't burn energy, you don't burn fat as you should. I'm not a doctor, but yeah, that's what I know about the subject. And have you ever looked like not on point? When you start looking and getting puffy eyes, and you start not looking your best.
Definitely.
Does that happen?
Yes,
Definitely.
it does.
Quite a lot?
Not quite a lot, but I think that for me, it's a time where I have to pay attention to my body, what it's telling me. Because when I have those sort of symptoms, I know I've done the extreme to my body.
Yeah,
likewise. Yeah, me too. It's literally the same, really. I mean, it's bound to happen. If you don't get enough sleep, you'll get bags underneath your eyes, which is something that I've noticed as well.
Yeah. You make a good point there, Diane. Listening to the signs of your body is important, because all of these signs that we're making, forgetfulness, that we're mentioning, being forgetful is one. I used to kind of forget my words sometimes. You know the word, but it just doesn't come. So you want to say, I'm going to sit down, but you can't remember the word sit. You're like, oh, I'm going to, what's the word I'm looking for? And when these signs happen, it may sound a little bit funny in the beginning, and you may tend to laugh it off, but don't. These are warning signs that you need to, start getting enough sleep, that your body is sending you that it's not receiving enough sleep. Anyway, so we're going to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be back to unravel the science of sleep and visit the Freud Museum soon.
This program is brought to you by UCKG. This program is brought to you by UCKG.
So welcome back. Today's topic is the science of sleep. Before the break, we were discussing the signs that we weren't getting enough sleep. And, it may seem like a personal thing, like a personal problem. Well, if I'm not getting enough sleep, it's my problem. But it's been proven that sleep insufficiency is responsible for a lot of road accidents. So it kind of may stop only affecting you and start affecting other people. People may lose lives because of you not getting enough sleep. So it is a dangerous or maybe irresponsible thing to not sleep enough. And even at work, you get loads of dangers at work, or accidents happening with people who do dangerous work, like using machinery and stuff. Exactly.
Surgeons.
So just that little second that you kind of fall asleep in the job, it may be dangerous and it may cost someone a life. So this is an important topic. But why is it that you think that people are not getting enough sleep?
I think it's our lifestyle. I think a lot of years ago, we was quite slower in our pace. Now it's just like we're moving faster. Our nights are getting longer. And we have a lot of things where what we can take as a immediate boost so that we can feel awake again, so we keep on going. And I think that's the danger.
And
well, I mean, for me, I know a lot of time, I mean, I don't know if it's the same with other people as well, but when I'm overtired, I find myself really, really irritated, you know. You're tossing and turning, you just can't sleep. Although you want to sleep, you can't sleep. And then, as it was mentioned there on the video as well, you know, the media. That moment when you're going into that deep, deep sleep, bing, and that's it. That's usually my sleep gone. And I think, as they were mentioning on the video there, it's so true. It's a lot to do with the media. You know, we're on our phone. Well, I'm not. I'm not on my phone late. I'm not. You know, sometimes if I have to do work on the computer, I'm doing it. And I think that as well, because I do find myself, no, I should really switch off now, but I carry on. So I think that is a lot to do with it. And I think our mind as well, our busy lifestyle as well, thinking, hold on a minute, what am I doing tomorrow? I've got to do this, I've got to do that. You're so, you know, anxious about tomorrow and not realizing that, hold on a minute, it's already 12 o'clock. You know, so I think it's a lot to do with our lifestyle as well.
Most of them in the video mentioned that your mind goes overdrive. And I think that's normally what happens with many people, is they get to bed and already, I know it happens with me, I get to bed and I'm already planning tomorrow in the bed. So as soon as I sleep, I'm thinking, as soon as I get into bed, I'm thinking, so when I wake up, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to do this and that and that. And your mind just doesn't stop working, so it really takes you a long time to
It really does, because during the day you're so busy doing what you have to do. The only time I used to find that I have time to actually think is when my head is on my pillow and there's no one, there's literally silent, and that's when I start doing all the thinking, everything else that I have to do.
I'm really the opposite. As I hit the pillow,
you fall asleep immediately.
I'm not a thinker like that. I don't, what do I have to do tomorrow? Or, no, I'm sleeping. I love my sleep.
I think 59% of the population of Britain envies you right now.
Don't get me wrong. That's not me. I'm talking about in general. I'm talking about like people in general. That's what usually happens. The reason why I'm saying is because that's how I used to be. And that's how I used to lose so much sleep. And sometimes not even, like I said, I mentioned before, I suffered from really bad insomnia where I would spend the whole night not sleeping. And not realizing that my eyes has been open all night just looking up to the ceiling.
I think we can take that for granted, because I have a colleague who suffers from insomnia and you know, he will say, oh, I was awake from 4 o'clock last night, or I was awake from 3 o'clock last night and I couldn't get back to sleep. And I take that for granted because I'm like, that's alienated to me. You know, I don't suffer with that problem, you know. So I think that sometimes where people are not sleeping, a lot of people suffer from insomnia, and it's caused by anxieties, the pressures of the world, you know, what they have to face, whatever it is, daily life.
Now, I have a question for you guys. Have you ever woken up and felt like, oh my God, I was dreaming, and this dream is so vivid. It's like I was living this dream. I was literally in that moment. Have you ever had that kind of sensation?
I have, yeah. I've been there where I thought I was actually in the dream, definitely. Like, this was too real.
Thank you for being enthusiastic. Thank you for being enthusiastic. It's because I'm still remembering my vivid dreams, and it's very, very exciting. Well, actually, that's something that Sigmund Freud discovered in 1953 sometime, way back when none of us was born. And it's to do with different, you know that when you sleep, you go into different phases. You go into several phases of sleep. And there's one phase which is called the rapid eye movement phase, which is REM, rapid eye movement phase. And that's the phase where you're sleeping, but your eyes are moving pretty fast, and it's because your brain is very, 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 very active in that time. So when you have a dream during that phase, it kind of feels like that dream is coming alive because your brain is so in tune. Well, it's working very, very, very hard. And normally when you wake up during that phase, that's when it feels like I've just had such a vivid dream. It's because you woke up while your body was having a dream during the rapid eye movement. That was Freud. And speaking of Freud, why are you laughing?
Because I've never heard rapid until we had break, you know, and you explained what rapid eye movement was.
Yeah.
And, you know, that we're like in the actual dream. I'd never ever heard of that before. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I've had to research a lot about sleep and things like that because of my chronic fatigue anyway, because I had to kind of change my lifestyle and change how I viewed sleep, because I was one who never slept 2-3 hours sometimes.
God.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
So I had to change those habits and understand what happens anyway. That's
But Martin, let me tell you something. I mean, I don't know about the rapid eye movement, but I've had rapid lip movement. I've actually been in it.
I'm joined by aliens. I'm joined by aliens. Rapid movement. That's a new one.
Where you speak in a dream.
Actually, yeah, I'm in this dream and I'm in a deep sleep. I mean, I can never remember my dream when I wake up in the morning anyway. I could never remember my dreams. And I don't dream often.
No, you do.
But when I do,
but you don't remember them. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do have rapid lip movement.
So what is
I'm
that?
actually dreaming of something, and I wake up and I find myself, I've mumbled something. Because I'm dreaming of the actual thing.
You're having that rapid eye movement as she's
That's exactly it. It means your brain is active at that moment, so you're actually living your dream. And so you wake up and it feels like, okay, I was saying something that I don't know, and we're running out of time. We need to go for a break. But yeah, before we go, let's find out what our team found out at the Freud Museum when they visited the museum to find out more about dreams.
The Freud Museum in London is here because this is the final home of Sigmund Freud and his family. Freud, both as a Jew and because of the work that he'd done, was in extreme danger. He and members of his family came to London in June 1938, and a couple of months later they settled in this house, which had been bought for Sigmund Freud by his son Ernst Freud, who was an architect and who was already living in London. Sigmund Freud went on living here for the remaining months of his life. He was here until he died in September 1939, just after the Second World War had started. His daughter Anna Freud, who was herself a prominent child psychoanalyst, lived here for another few decades until she died in the early 1980s, and it was her wish that the house become a museum.
This is the famous couch, Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic couch. People think that when they recounted their dreams to Freud, he could think about the imagery and tell them exactly what these symbols meant and then cure them. But actually it's a much more complicated process. So people would talk about their dreams, their memories, their thoughts, and from those images, from that manifest content, they would then use free association to sort of think about words and deeper meanings that are somehow sort of in those dreams. And the idea was for patients to lie down and relax so that they could talk about their thoughts and feelings, memories and dreams sort of out of the context of everyday life. He designed the couch, sort of the space of the couch, so that he would sit behind the patients because he thought staring at his patients all day for 8 hours was really hard work.
This year is the Freud Museum's 30th anniversary. And I suspect, like a lot of organisations that have been going for 30 years, this feels like quite a turning point. We opened in 1986, and the heart of the house has always been very much Sigmund Freud's study, left really exactly as it was when he settled here after he'd arrived from Vienna with his psychoanalytic couch and his antiquities and his library. It's a very atmospheric room. But over the last 30 years, the museum has really developed in a number of ways. As well as welcoming visitors every week, we also have a very active education, learning and events programme. And what the house is about very much now is not just about exploring Sigmund Freud's legacy, but also about exploring contemporary culture through a psychoanalytic lens.
This is a really interesting object. This is a plaster cast of a bas-relief that's in the Vatican, and Freud was really interested in this because it's connected to a story that he then wrote about. Freud wrote in his essay Dreams and Delusions in Jensen's Gradiva that there is in fact no better analogy for oppression by which something in the mind is at once made inaccessible and preserved than burial of the sort to which Pompeii fell victim. And the story goes that a German archaeologist called Norbert Tanneld fell in love with this relief of this woman that he'd bought in Rome, and he had a dream about seeing her in Pompeii. And so he followed his dream, he went to Pompeii, and he saw a real woman that he thought was Gradiva. But in fact, it was a real woman, a woman who he used to love, or it was his childhood sweetheart, basically, called Zoe Bertgang. And she realised that Norbert Tanneld was deluded and gradually helped him realise that the object that he loved was not an object, it was her. And so Freud wrote, "Marble and bronze alone were truly alive for him. They alone expressed the purpose and value of human life."
I work here at the Freud Museum, but my background is not Freud or psychoanalysis. My background is working in other museums as a historian. So I probably arrived here a few years ago with a fairly healthy, I hope, dose of scepticism about some of the claims of psychoanalysis. But nonetheless, I think obviously dreams tell a huge amount about, what we're thinking, about what's going on in our unconscious, about the things that are worrying us. And I'm sure we all have that experience of thinking about a dream, of analysing it and of questioning, why did I think about that person? Why did that person appear in my dreams? Why was I, having this particular experience in my dreams? So I think there's absolutely no doubt that dreams tell us something about ourselves. If we think carefully. But I'm no expert in analysing dreams, and I would leave that to the experts.
Freud wrote that we psychiatrists cannot escape the suspicion that we should be better at understanding and translating the language of dreams if we knew more about the development of language.
This programme is brought to you by UCKG. This programme is brought to you by UCKG.
Welcome back. On today's show, The Science of Sleep, we've been discussing why we need sleep, and we've been discussing our dreams and Maria's funny rapid lip movement. And joining us in the studio is infant sleep consultant Helen Broadhead. Hi Helen, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Glad to have you on the show. Now Helen, for those who do not know, what is an infant sleep consultant?
Well, our job, we go into people's homes and we look at over 24 hours. So what's happening in their day, their routine, their children, their eating, and we help provide a routine that works for an individual family, because obviously every family is different. Some have 2 children, 1 children, work, there's all sorts of factors. And we help them, show them how to put their babies to sleep and the changes that we make. Like you said earlier, you had to make some changes to your lifestyle to help you sleep. And it's exactly the same with children. But when they're so tired, you can't see the wood from the trees. So it just needs somebody to come in and help you and clarify things and point things out and tweak it a little bit, you know?
So what are some of the things that make it hard for a child to go to sleep?
Watching TV 10 minutes before they need to go to bed. It's all about the wind down. So after dinner, you know, it's quiet time, calm time, no TV, no playing on a trampoline, you know, no parents coming in from work and going, yay, I've missed you, and bouncing on the bed. You know, it's coming in and bath and a story and setting the tone that it's night time. You've got to change the tone from daytime to night time. And it just needs a little bit of tweaking sometimes. Families just need that little bit of help.
Yeah, I can imagine, because if for parents who lead a very busy lifestyle, like I mean, they work and then they have to come in, and it's the time that they have to bond with their children.
And they miss their children.
Child,
they miss their children, you know, but equally they want their children to sleep. So you need to keep it calm, still have fun, but do it in a more, you know, calm, relaxed way, like over bath time, and read 4 stories, have cuddles, do you know, and include your children, closing the curtains, getting your pyjamas ready. So it's just setting the tone for sleep.
Yeah. We do hear a lot as well about sleep training babies.
Yeah.
How cruel do you think that is to allow, because I've come across it, having working with children for many years, I've come across it, that how cruel do you think it is to leave a baby to cry overnight? And actually, when should that, if parents do it, when should they start doing this?
We don't say you leave your child to cry. We do it in a nice way where you're back in to reassure them and make sure they're fine. They need to know that their mummy and daddy's there with them, but we need to set the tone that we're there and we love you, but it's time to sleep. So you're not going in for a chat and a cuddle, and, you know, are you going in to sort of reassure them and to let them know it's sleep time and it's fine. You're fine. You're in your nice bed and mummy and daddy are here, you know, we love you, but it's time to sleep. And, you know, if you pre-empty all of their things that they may be asking for before they go to bed, i.e. I'm hungry, so they have a banana before they go to bed, I'm thirsty, they have a drink, I'm cold, make sure they get warm up. All these things you think they're going to ask, pre-empty all of that before they go to bed. So when they shout out, mummy, you know, I'm hungry, you can be, actually, you've had your tea, you've had a banana, and you can be really confident in yourself and quite firm and be, it's time to sleep, you know, you're fine, you've just had a banana or whatever they're eating. So they're not pulling at your heartstrings all the time, so pre-empty it all first. So yes, they will be crying, but there's crying if you're sat next to them, there's crying if you leave the room, but I would never condone just leaving them to cry for long periods with no reassurance from.
What age do you think?
If we were to start a new plan, we'd say from 6 months plus. If we were going into a baby, that's when we'd start it. But before 6 months, you can start good sleep habits, good sleep routines, putting them down with no props, so that when they wake in the night, they can knit their sleep cycles together, and they don't need mummy and daddy. So you can start all of that before they're 6 months. Yeah, and
So how did you become from nanny to advisor?
I've got 2 children of my own as well, and as a nanny, I'm doing night nanny, and mums always used to come to me for advice when when the wheels fell off, you know, i.e. the baby was ill or they'd been on holiday and they'd come home and, they won't sleep and what am I doing? And I just found it really, really, really interesting. And you just see the transformation from a child that slept well, that hasn't, you know, and I just was really, really interested. So I got lots of experience, and then I backed it up with training courses and facts, basically. And I really like it. It's lovely to see a family. You go in and everybody's tired, and then a week later they're all happy and they're having such a lovely time with their family, rather than, like you were saying earlier, being quite cranky. And the transformation's great, all because of sleep, you know. And lots of parents know what they're doing, they just get a little bit lost, you know, because they're really good parents. It's this guilt that us mothers feel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey.
Can a mother who's anxious and not sleeping properly affect the child then?
Yeah, it rubs off, you know, it does. Like you were saying earlier, if you're feeling tired, you might be a little bit more snappy. So rather than saying, let's choose a book, where's your book? What book we're going to read? You know, so if you're well rested, let's find a nice book, come and sit on mummy's knee, you know, let's have a cuddle, and it's calm and it all passes on to the child.
So do you have advice for the mothers as well as the children as well?
Definitely. Try not to do it all, you know. That you ask for help. It doesn't matter. We all need help. Ask your family, ask a professional, ask your neighbour. If you're feeling tired, there's no shame in asking for help at all. And when your child's sleeping, rest yourself. If you can't sleep, put your feet up, watch TV, or ring your friend, read a book, but just quiet time where you're switching off and having time for yourself. Forget the dishes, they'll be there tomorrow.
You know, Helen, sometimes when we're very busy, we miss the signs. I mean, there are signs that are clear to someone else, that may be clear to someone else, but are not clear for us. So a family who's watching and their children are not having enough sleep, what are the things that they should be looking for in their child, the signs that they should be looking for in the child that are indicators that their child are not sleeping well or is not sleeping well?
They'd be quite grumpy. Everything would be a drama. Simple things. Oh, you know, do you want to pop your shoes on? Oh, I got my shoes on. You know, like really tearful, not eating well. They can't focus as well at school, which is, you know, not great for the child. There's lots of signs, and they're just really cranky and quite tearful, to be honest.
Have you ever gone to advise parents and you haven't been able to get that child to sleep through the night?
Never. There's always a time scale. There's always a
success rate.
there's always a time scale to this because it's consistency. And if you're doing all the groundwork, the nights will flow. But if you're reacting to the child in an anxious way, it might take a little bit longer, shall we say.
They feed off that, do they?
Yes, they feed off of that, yeah.
So what would be the average time then to kind of come into a family and change and be able to change their routine to a stable routine?
It depends on the methods that you choose. You can do a more gradual way that can take 2 weeks to 2 months.
So that's not very long.
Which is a slower approach. It depends, as I say, it all depends on the individual family. Or you could do, you've probably heard of controlled crying, you know, where you're in and out of the room, in and out to reassure them. That's quite a quicker approach because it's very fast. You know what you're doing, the child knows what to expect, and it doesn't really change very much. So 3 nights, and you see a huge improvement. Huge improvement.
That's really true what you're saying, because I mean I've worked with children for many years now.
Yeah.
And I've seen the difference. I've really seen the difference in their sleep pattern.
Yes.
I mean, I've worked with family that, as I said, you know, we leave them to cry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, going in every so often to reassure them.
Absolutely.
And some of them have dummies. Some of them have a dummy that they sleep with. And if that dummy has fallen out of their mouth, they want it back in their mouth. So you go back in and you put it, and just a little stroke, okay, go back to sleep now. So you go out. It's going to happen. It'll probably happen for about...
You're sat next to them.
Exactly.
They've got an expectation. So they're like,
Yes.
you're sat there and you're not doing anything. So
It's like the comfort, isn't it?
They'll cry, you know, to try and make you do something. And then they feed off the way that you react. So if you're quite strong and can sit there and be very focused, great. But if you can't, just step away a little bit and then keep going back.
Yeah, because even babies at 6 months, they really know how to play their parents up.
Oh, completely.
Seriously, at 6 months, I have seen children really playing their parents up.
Yeah.
The minute the parents just like move away from, like even just from here to there, that's it, they're crying.
Yeah.
But, and they really do play up on that. And some parents, because, and especially if it's their first child.
Oh, yeah.
Now that is the danger.
I'm a mum as well, and I understand it really pulls at your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it makes you feel inside, you know, like, oh, I need to fix it, because we all like to fix things. They are allowed to play out their emotions.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to fix everything and actively fix everything. You know, it's something that you need to learn to do yourself. It's a life skill. And like I was saying earlier, you said about the dummy falling out, so you go back in, you pop it in. That's getting you in the room. That's why I say try and encourage no props from the beginning, and then you won't find yourself in a problem in a situation where you are going back in for the dummy, because you know the dummy will make them sleep, but they might not be old enough to find it themselves.
Exactly.
My son had a dummy. I put 10 dummies in the cot. You will find a dummy, do you know? I'm not coming in to give you a dummy. There's 10 in there, do you know? And you'd hoover and they're all under the bed, and if you can't find it, Archie, you're not having it. You know? I'd buy loads, they're all in there. And I never had any problems. I never had any problems. But it's confidence as well, isn't it? You know,
I think the mindset that I'm the one who sets the tone for my child. So kind of, if parents switch that mindset and they know that, okay, I'm not punishing my child, I'm setting the tone and leading my child to where, you know, to the best behavior, to the best space possible for her.
It's not punishment, is it? It's a life skill. If you, you know, like you sleep, you probably had a great childhood, do you know? And you never lose it, you know, at all. You're helping them, so they're not grumpy, they're not cranky, they can focus at school. It's certainly not a punishment, you know.
Definitely. And I think as a nanny as well, because I've been doing nanny for many years, like yourself. And I think as a nanny, sometimes when you're going into a child and, you know, they're like newborn and you're starting off with them, it makes it so much easier for you now doesn't it? I find that as well. It makes it so much easier because that child will grow up into that pattern, into that routine.
And the reason why they cry is because you're changing a habit. You're breaking down an old habit and trying to reinforce a new habit. And they're going to protest because they quite like it that they're in bed with mummy, so why they can't see a reason to change. So that's where the tears come from.
So we've had a lot of advice for you, young mothers, and not necessarily only young mothers, for all mothers. Thank you so much, Helen, for coming over the show and sharing such useful information. Even for me, I mean, I'm going to adopt that as well. I mean, we can translate that to ourselves as adults as well, because we tend to depend on a lot of props as well. So there you go. That's the message I'm taking out of this. No props, Moti. And we're going to take a short break, but after the break, we'll be back to discuss more on the science of sleep.
This program is brought to you by UCKG. This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Welcome back. For those of you who don't know who I am Jessica Ann, celebrity stylist and image consultant. As you have just heard, sleepless nights are common when it comes to being a mum, so I offered a makeover to a mum this week. Please allow me to introduce you to Elena. Elena is a young mum of 2, one of those being a toddler, so you can imagine she would be suffering from sleepless nights. An interesting fact about Elena is she's also an entrepreneur. She has a business called Acorn Inspirations, where she inspires young people in the world of technology and entrepreneurship. So as part of her makeover, we conducted a style consultation where we used our technology to assess her body shape and show her what styles of clothing suit her body shape and what colours enhance and intensify her natural skin tone and colouring. With a touch of makeup and the right outfits, let's take a look. So what do you think of Elena? Doesn't she look amazing? Well, as you all know, sometimes we have sleepless nights, but with the right colours and shape, we can all look and feel great each and every single day.
Wow, what do you guys think of Helena? I just think she looks so amazing. Jessica did such a wonderful job over there.
What a transformation, eh?
Definitely.
I'm ready for one of Jessica's transformation, by the way.
Me too, Jessica.
So now, girls, going back to the science of sleep. We've said a lot, we've shared our experience on the show. We've heard from the lovely Helen. What is it that you guys have to say to our viewers as your last thought?
Well, I mean, obviously we've heard on the show today how important it is to have the right amount of sleep, the amount of sleep that your body needs. But obviously we know how difficult it is because most of us here, we do find it difficult to have that proper sleep. But at the same time, we have to push ourselves a bit hard. We really, even if it's going to sleep an hour earlier, even if it's just to stop everything you're doing an hour earlier, just to be able to wind down and get that proper sleep. But it is important. Our body needs it.
I do agree with you, Maria. I think sleep is on a par with healthy eating, exercising, you know, living a healthy lifestyle. It really does play an important part to how our skin looks, how we age, you know, everything like that. And I think our Western environment is, you know, interrupting us with that as well. So I think that we need to take a stand for ourselves and make sure that we discipline ourselves to do that, Yeah,
I mean, statistics are alarming, or I'm not sure if alarming is the right word, but yeah, statistics show that a third of all Britons will only sleep for 5 to 7 hours, and the average Brit will sleep at 11:15, so 11:15 in the evening. That's the time that they go to sleep. Those are the statistics, some of the statistics we have on sleep. And it kind of shows how difficult it is for people to get a good night's sleep. I know that it may be contributing to, I mean, a lot of factors may be contributing to it. It may be, you know, a busy lifestyle, having to be a career woman and a mom at the same time. So getting sleep may not be as easy or, you know, as straightforward as it is for someone else. So there are a lot of contributing factors to why people will not get enough sleep. But I think if we prioritize sleep, sometimes we do not. Sometimes we see it as a burden. Sometimes we think going to sleep means taking time off from work or time off from, you know, spending time with my family. And so we think of sleep as a burden or as a killjoy. But you will find that if you get more sleep, you actually can put in a lot more into your family. So your family, for example, will get the best of you. They will not be able to, they will not have to deal with the, you know, the moody you that we talked about, the snappy you that we mentioned and even Helen mentioned. Or in terms of work, when you get enough sleep, you will find that during the day you're a lot more productive than you would have been if you spent the night working and getting into the day and having a tired mind and a slow mind. So do prioritize sleep because there are a lot of benefits that you get from sleep. It's not the monster that we all deem it to be. So Britons, let's all go to sleep. Let's go to bed as much as, like, let's sleep as much as we can.
And not
you know
feel
what I mean?
guilty about
it. And not feel guilty about it.
Exactly.
So guys, you've heard a lot from us. Now we want to hear from you. Are you getting enough sleep? What are your patterns of sleep? Share with us your comments on Facebook or by emailing us at comments@dkw.me or help@dkw.me, or leave us your comments on Twitter as well. And join us next week for another exciting episode of DKW. And until then, it's goodbye.
This program is brought to you by UCKG.